What's up, Capstone family? This is Ed. I'm coming at you on July the 19th, Friday. Hey, and this week, when the universe is talking to you and it's saying something over and over and over and over, it's time to listen. And I think this is one of those videos that is going to speak, of course, to the owners, but also to tenants. I think it's important because there's something that I wanted to bring up that I saw consistently this week that I wanted to share. And what that was just understanding the differences between what different laws are in different states for tenants and landlords. And to kind of talk through this on the front end, Arizona has always been a very landlord-friendly state. It's one of the, if you look online, you Google it, you'll find that, in most searches, Arizona is one of the more landlord-friendly states. The eviction process is very simple and easy to follow. There are numerous ways that a landlord can basically jump into that eviction process by, misinformation on tenant application or a lot of things where other states don't quite allow that. And I think other states, what we're finding right now is, we've got a lot of people still moving here. And when things are getting tight, people will do what they can to, maximize their opportunity. I'll leave it there. Specifically, people from out of state that come from more tenant-friendly environments might not know what the laws or rules really are applying to and how they apply to them. So they lean into maybe taking advantage of those one way or another. I'll give you one quick example. So I met with a potential client this week that I've known for a long time here in the Valley. And she's got basically 3 properties. And with those 3 properties, she had an issue with one of them consistently. The first experience that she had was a great one. She had a tenant in the property for 6 years. Amazing. 6 years, this person lived there. She felt that she was the best property manager ever. She was self-managing, by the way. She managed it. It was a great experience. She loved it. Okay, so this is a very common thing that happens in this industry where an owner self-manages for a certain amount of time. They have an amazing experience. And then what happens? They rent it to the second person. The second person ends up living in the house for 2 years, trashes it, and moves out. By trashing it, she says that the person tried to rewire some electrical. They did some improvements on their own. Okay, my question to her was, where was that person from, right? And she told me, and it wasn't Arizona. And I knew it because other states have different laws. So tenants think that they need to take it upon themselves to do certain things. They don't read through the contract. They don't read through the lease. That's why our leases are so important. And in that case, then she re-rented it again to a third person. Third person ends up renting the property again from out of state. She ends up evicting this person because this person ends up being a holdover tenant, not knowing what their rights are. So my point of all of this is for when we're renting out to people that are moving in from all over the country, it's making sure that we're really paying attention to what the laws are here and ensuring through conversation, through communication, that those prospective tenants are aware of their rights and obligations here in Arizona. I think it's super important because, again, you might have people specifically coming from like California, a lot of tenants coming from California. Well, the laws are completely different out there. I'm from California. And when I first got into Arizona and started finding out more about what the Landlord-Tenant Act looked like and what types of laws were here versus there, it seemed completely foreign to me because in California, tenants have a different set of laws, a different set of rules. I don't remember if there was, I don't know if there was like rent restrictions back then. It was a long time ago, but now there are different things and limitations. So rent control, the eviction process was different. I remember my mom had a rental back in the day. She had like a holdover tenant for like 6 months. I remember those experiences, right? Where things were not good for landlords. But out here in Arizona, it's completely different. Out here in Arizona, it's a 30-day process for evictions. And really, the eviction process is very, very streamlined, simple, very straightforward so that everybody can understand. If you want more information on that, The first attorney that I met out here named Andy Hull, they're now Hull Holiday on Holiday. We use them for a lot of our legal things. You can find them at drevictor.com. They've got a whole stash of free forms and documents that are good both for tenants and owners to know what your rights are as you go through these processes. So I think before signing an agreement, if you are putting a lease out there to a prospective tenant and you want to lease them a property, make sure you're having the conversations and they understand what they're signing. And tenant, know what you're signing before you get into it. If you're out here and you're in Arizona and you end up becoming more of a holdover, or you think you have particular rights that you don't, and maybe you're holding back rents for some reason because you think that something needs to be taken care of and it's not an essential service, essential item in the property, you're in trouble. You're going to be in big trouble, and that'll negatively impact you in many different ways. As the market continues to shift, it's good to keep your credit solid. It's good to keep your knowledge about you and understand exactly where you can and where you can't ask for things, where it doesn't make sense. For a company like us, we are in the business of following the code, following basically to the letter. That's our job, right? It's not up to us to say yes or no if it's something we can't make a decision to. It's up to us to make sure that we are following that letter of the law so that it positively impacts both parties, right? So that everyone knows what the rules are. We are here to enforce those rules and just make sure that you've got a great place to live while the owners are getting their rents paid and everything's being taken care of at the property. I hope this information is super helpful. Again, it was 3 different conversations that I had this week with 3 different people that talked about out-of-state tenants, and I had to pose the question. I was like, oh, you're dealing with that. Where's that person from? And when they told me, I was like, oh, I'm seeing some patterns here. I'm seeing something. It's just a miscommunication. It's just understanding what the real differences are between one state and the next and how that applies to them. Communication moving forward, it's going to help us, and I hope this helps you. Thanks so much for watching. See ya.